For his discharge?
Discharge,
in
yes.
1864?
They probably paroled him at some point, which means they made trades back and forth. You know, so many privates or so many corporals for so many, you know, other men, and they would trade back and forth. It's probable that he was back with the unit at some point. There's a paper trail for that too.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Great.
and then of course, then
Let's
he
go
ended
see the
up-
monument.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could be in living prison. He could be in, you know, a number of prisons, a number of different prisons. So there may be a trail. That trail is a little more difficult, but
But his
Wow.
pension record would at least mention it.
pension record would generally mention something like that because probably his disability is related to it.
Uh-huh.
But then again, he went back to the unit,
Mm-hmm.
which means he was well enough to serve.
Gotcha.
So chances are probably that he, somewhere along the line after he was captured, there were a few men who escaped and were freed by the Union cavalry. But also there are, chances are that he was paroled sometime within a year of it. Paroling tended to be a little slower by 63 because what was happening was the Southerners were just going home just right away. Generally, I think it was supposed to be, you're supposed to promise not to come back for I think 3 months or something.
Oh.
Yeah, there was it was a very different era. I think it was 3 months. I don't think it was 6 months. I think it was 3
Your
months.
word was your bond, you know?
Yes, yeah, and for the most part, the Union followed that. I mean, there are wonderful stories of at the Battle of Antietam, or just Battle of South Mountain. A Union officer was captured, and the Confederate officer told him he was going to parole him, but he had to promise not to say anything to anybody, and he had whatever for a period of time. So he's literally walking back across the lines, and he meets some of his own regiments again, and they ask him, "What's up there?" And he says, "I can't tell you, but be careful." And so it's very serious for them, you know.
Wow.
And there was a unit here called Harper's Ferry's Traders. I think that's the right term. Through no fault of their own, they had just been, most of them were very new units. They were Harper's Ferry in 1862. No fault of their own, the general decides to surrender the army at Harper's Ferry in 62. And so they get tagged with being traitors. Not traitors, I'm sorry. It's anyway, they're labeled as being it's not fighting,
Negative,
you know.
yeah.
But they had nothing to do with it. They were ordered. So when they're here, they immediately go home. Well, and their commanding officer says, "We are not going to disperse for that period of time. I'm going to keep you all together. We're going to go up to a camp, Indiana or somewhere, and they march and they drill and they become a very good unit. And when they come here, they fight and they fight very well. And they fight down here, not far from Wheatfield. They fight in this area here on that second day as well. So, you know, it's a lot of complexity going on. I mean,